Hi. Yeah, another stream in less than a month's time. That's like a new record for me, I'm sure, because usually these streams have quite a bit of a gap between them. Yeah, just felt like streaming again 2 weeks later after the last stream. So you're welcome, I guess, if you really like these streams. Uh, um, while I wait for more people to file in, I may as well talk about fucking shit show that was the other night. Oh my god. Well, for those of you who do know and are concerned or were concerned, I am fine, completely fine. NYC had a pretty major storm the other night. The remnants of Hurricane Ida hit here. And oh god, let me talk about that for a little bit again while I wait for more people to join in. If more people join in, hopefully. Anyway, my basement got severely flooded the other night. Like, water was all over the fucking place. Me and my uncle had to vacuum up the water for like 4 hours. And if you go outside, this is the way my backyard is. Well, we live on a slope pretty much, so it's easy for us to get flooded. And if you go in the backyard, there's a staircase that goes down, and there's a back door that leads into my uncle's room. That is that's in the basement. And right outside that door, it was like a fucking river. Like, literally, I hurt myself really badly because when I was going down the steps, when me and my uncle were going down the steps to take with buckets to like, attempt to get the water out of there, to no avail. But I'll get into that in like a minute. When I was going down the steps, I fell in, and the water was up to my fucking waist. Hurt myself pretty badly too. I know that's pretty disgusting, but yeah, scuffed myself up pretty bad when I fell. But it's fine. Had a band-aid over it yesterday, but the band-aid fell off. But yeah, it was pretty much a losing battle because it was still raining very, very heavily, but we tried our damnedest to get the water out of there, but to no avail. But eventually, when it stopped raining, the water went down by itself, so all good. But yeah, that was a few hours we were doing that. Good lord. I'm sore all over because when we were vacuuming up the water, we constantly had to take the top off of the thing, and then I had to lift it up and then take it to the bathroom that's in the basement, and then pour it into the shower. And doing that continuously for a few hours will leave you pretty sore because that's a lot of bending down and lifting something very, very heavy that's filled with water. Lifting a bucket essentially that's very, very heavy that's filled with water. So I'm still sore all over. Hurts like hell. I can't even so much as bend down. In pretty bad shape right now, but whatever. When do things ever go my way? Hello, Leo. Hello, Christian. Hello, Dakota. How are you all doing? That's the end of my spiel for now. Hello, guitar. So yeah, I don't know how long the stream will go because I'm in a lot of pain right now. I just wanted to do that, and also because we might my mom is home today, and she took the day off to kind of put the basement back together because everything's all over the place after that flood. So I might help with her and my uncle. I might help her and my uncle with that. I don't know, maybe in like an hour's time or something. So I don't know if I'll cut this short. I don't know. Take that with a grain of salt though, because it seems like whenever I say that, oh, it's gonna be a short stream, it goes on for the usual 2 hours. But yeah, just putting that out there. So in case I do have to end this early, no one will be angry. All right, for real now. That's the end of my spiel. How are you all doing? The three people that are here. Hope you're all doing okay. Hope you're all doing leagues better than I am. Yes, I'm fine, Leo. Thank you for the concern. Someone asked me in the comment section under my latest video if I was okay. They heard about the major flooding in NYC. I didn't think anyone would really think about me upon hearing that news, but it's flattering. It's very, very flattering. Got any new GameCube games? Not recently. The last GameCube game I got was Resident Evil 2. Of course, OD Resident Evil 2. Um, that was in August. Yeah, last month. I haven't gotten anything since, and right now I'm playing Red Dead Redemption 1 on PlayStation Now. Red Dead Redemption 1 is a great game. Great game so far. Just finished the Mexico portion of the game, but it's really tainted by the by PS Now, because if you don't know, PS Now is a streaming service, and of course, streaming services kind of sort of depend on your connection to run well, usually, and for the most part, it's been decent. I mean, it's playable, but there was one night where the game was choppy as hell, lagging, input lag, kept dropping connection, overall a fucking nightmare. Like, also the game wouldn't respond at all to what I was doing on the controller. Like, say if I was trying to move, no movement. If I was trying to like do anything, the game would not respond at all because the connection dropped, and that was very infuriating because that caused some deaths, like in some like in some missions that had shootouts, like that would happen, and then I would die continuously because the connection was piss poor for whatever reason, and that was very rage inducing. But thankfully, it was just that one night. For now, I mean, it could totally happen again, but hopefully that won't be a problem ever again. And that just further solidifies that I want fuck all to do with PlayStation Now after my 3 months are up. For those of you who don't know, like last Saturday, whatever, I got PS5 PS5 PS Now gift card, and it allowed me to have 3 months of PlayStation Now. And it's again, I don't want anything to do with PS Now after these 3 months because of that experience. And here's the thing: I would totally get a PS3 to play these games on, to play the games I can't play on the PS5 on, and I don't want to fucking rely on PS Now. But I just simply don't have the room. I'm in this tiny ass room, and there's my PS5, my Switch, my GameCube, my external hard drive for my PS5. It's really cluttered over there. As you can see here, I've showed off my gaming setup a million times now. I'm sure you all know what it looks like. And yeah, I just simply don't have the room to get a PS3, which sucks because PS3s are dirt cheap. The games for it are dirt cheap. I believe PS2 games are relatively cheap, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong there. Like, now is the perfect time to get into collecting for that console. Like, I still kick myself over not, getting into GameCube collecting sooner because, as you probably know, I wanted to get into GameCube collecting around 2013. That was back when you could get some of the best GameCube games for like $20. And for whatever reason, I didn't get into it. 12-year-old me / 13-year-old me kind of just lost interest. And here I am, 20 years old, wanting to beat the shit out of 12-year-old me for for completely dropping out of the habit while the habit was still pretty cheap. Or drop out of the hobby. So, knowing my luck, whenever I do get a PS3 or whatever, whenever I guess I have the room for a PS3, it'll be when the PS3 itself is fucking expensive. Games are fucking expensive. I mean, you could put the Switch up. In your last video about the Switch, you said you weren't really using it. No, I don't want to get rid of the Switch. I don't want to put it in the closet or anything. There's still games I want to get for it, like Skyward Sword or Metroid Dread. It's not like a system that's completely just taking up space in my room. I still do want to actually play it. Just finished my personal statement for my university. Cool. I'm getting a PS3 to play the first Ultimate Alliance and X-Men Origins Wolverine. The Origins is $60. Yeah. This just makes me wish even more that Sony would embrace backwards compatibility and would have allowed the PS5 to be backwards compatible with consoles that aren't the PS4. But alas, Sony is a dumbass. Sony is made up of dumbasses, so probably not going to get that. Of course, you have Jim Ryan saying, "Who wants to play old games? I tried playing old games, and I don't know why anyone would want to play these games." Like, as someone who loves playing older games, or at least games from the early 2000s, I take offense to that. I take high offense to that. I take a lot of offense to that. I mean, I know he's retracted that, but still, I mean, unless backwards compatibility, that's not just with the PS4, it happens on the PS5. I'm just going to take his retraction as lip service. Better than Nintendo legacy content. Oh my god. At least Sony has a service that lets you play these games from that are like 15 years old. With Nintendo, it's just the same NES, SNES games you played a million times over on their online service. And soon to be the same Game Boy games you've played a million times over. Like, it's like the GameCube in the Wii era and kind of sort of the N64 era just never happened in Nintendo's eyes. Like, I really don't understand why they're so averse to, putting games from those eras on their online service. I mean, we got some N64 games on the Virtual Console, maybe even a good bit of N64 games on the Virtual Console. I don't know, but it just seems like Nintendo neglects those three consoles, the games that came out on the three consoles, and I really don't know why. I'm sure people would love to be able to play those games on Nintendo's online service. I'm sure people would sign up for Nintendo's shitty online service if they were able to play those games on the online service. That would be a huge selling point, but Nintendo just does not jump for it. I just don't fucking understand it. Want to play Mario Galaxy 1, a 14-year-old game at this point, or 15 years old? I forget how exactly old that game is. Cough up $60, bundled with other games that are 15 plus years old. And oh, now it's gone because we only put that out for a limited time. It's to the point where I really don't blame people for... Oh, sorry. It's to the point where I really don't blame people for pirating Nintendo games. Like, Nintendo wonders why piracy is such a huge issue, especially when it comes to their games. But they don't take the time to reflect on, why exactly it is. Maybe it's their anti-consumer practices. Maybe it's them being averse to, making games from like the N64, GameCube, Wii era readily available for their consumers. Even if they did, I know people would still emulate these games, but I'm sure you would at least see a little bit of a decrease when it comes to emulation of Nintendo games if they were actually, if they actually if they actually listened to their consumers and would make games from these eras readily available on their online service. You pirate Nintendo games based. Still see copies of Mario 3D All-Stars in Target, and I even saw a few copies in Walmart recently. Oh, really? Wow. Might want to snag those while you see them because probably be worth a lot eventually. I would totally play Galaxy 1 on the Switch because all I have is the original copy on the Wii, and I can't be fucked to plug in my Wii into the TV. So I would totally play a Galaxy 1 port on the Switch. Not Mario Sunshine. I have the OG on the GameCube. Mario 64, I mean, it's an alright game. I much prefer the DS version. I really wish the DS version would get a remake. That would be poggers. But Galaxy 1, I would totally play on the Switch if it was sold separately. And knowing Nintendo, they would probably make it like $60 goddamn like they're doing with Skyward Sword. And I'm gonna buy Skyward Sword HD eventually. I want that game. I never played the original, so I'm totally going to be part of the problem. Wii era was their last good era, where released more legacy content was better and hardware wasn't nearly as broken, and the menu doesn't look like it was made up in fucking Photoshop like the Nintendo Switch. True, true. We use the Wii's menu. Same with the Wii U's. Well, now that I mention it, it's pretty nostalgic. Is pretty nostalgic. Mario 64 DS is so underrated. Oh, I agree. I highly agree. I think that's definitely the superior version of the game. It's the version of the game that does not get nearly as much attention. And it really sucks because, well, I played 64 DS before playing the OG, so I'm coming from a bit of a bias, but I don't know. I really love the added content in DS. I really liked that back when Nintendo actually gave a shit about making the remakes actually worthwhile, worth the money. And then I played the original Mario 64 on the Wii U, and it was fun. Don't get me wrong, but I didn't care for it as much, and I didn't care about 100%ing it like I did the DS version. 100% did that game when I was 11, I think. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. Look, garbage bags on the ceiling. That storm the other night caused a leak in my ceiling, and of course, of all places in my room, it has to be directly above my bed. So probably for a while, it's gonna be that big. It's gonna be that big, ugly. Those big, ugly garbage bags on my wall. It's frustrating. This hasn't been a problem for like over a year because we got a patch up job in the roof uh, in July 2020, I think. Yeah, it was July 2020. It was a few weeks before my grandma went to the hospital. Uh, yeah, it's very frustrating. I thought this wouldn't be a problem anymore, but it was just a patch up job, not a full on roof job, so it wasn't going to be a permanent solution. But I was kind of hoping it kind of would be. We're doing home renovation, and part of that home renovation is getting the roof finally redone. But I have no clue when that's going to happen because the home renovation has been moving at a snail's pace. People mainly hated the D-pad for it. Wasn't even that bad. Plus, you could play it on the Wii U. You're talking about the N64 version of the game. Because if people hated the D-pad in the DS version, they could easily just play it on the 3DS. God, I haven't touched my 3DS in ages. Actually, I don't even know where it is. I should look for it. Turn it on sometime. I know where my DSi is. I mean, made that video months ago showing off the DSi's web browser in 2021, which I'm very surprised how many views that got. Holy shit. Well, I shouldn't be that surprised. I saw other videos doing the exact same thing, getting like 10,000 plus views. But still, pleasant surprise a little bit. But yeah, I do know where my DSi is. It's in the cabinets over there. And I take that out sometimes. And I did play a bit of Mario 64 DS a few months ago. I should 100% that game again. It's a fun game. Yeah, I want my 3DS back. I was a dumb kid and traded in everything. That sucks. Well, I mean, I kind of did the same thing. When I wanted a DSi XL, I traded in. No, I wanted a regular DSi. I traded in my DS Lite, and then I wanted the XL a few months later. I traded in the regular DSi for that. I kind of wish I didn't do that. Highly regret it. Especially the DS Lite. I would love to still have that. But I was a dumbass as a kid. Hate the 8 rabbits in that game. Oh, God, the rabbit missions. Fucking hated those. Remember chasing after those little fuckers for like 10 minutes one time. Okay, maybe not 10 minutes, but still, it felt like a long ass time chasing after those things. Really annoying. Still, it's probably less frustrating than a lot of the missions in Sunshine. I still like that game though, but oh god, it's fucking frustrating. What is your opinion on the Afghanistan situation? Made a whole video about that. That's a pretty loaded question for a live stream for me to get into right now in a live stream. Hello, Jonah Blob. How you doing? Just in case anyone brings it up, I don't even know if I'll make a video about the Texas abortion law. I've already talked about abortion plenty on this channel, and I don't know if I want to talk about it again. I've already talked about like anti-abortion laws on this channel, but maybe I'll get briefly into it here. Just yet another example of the rampant misogyny in this country. Just yet another example of mostly male conservatives, let's be honest, taking a huge shit on women's rights, you know, basically following suit with the antiquated idea that women are property, women don't have a say when it comes to, what goes on with their bodies. And it's really funny, the same exact crowd that yells, my body, my choice, when it comes to not wearing a mask, not getting the vaccine, doing things that would actually be a net positive for the community around them. They're cheering this on. They love this shit. Hate the right wing. The way we pulled out of Afghanistan was a mess. We left so much military equipment there. I agree. Highly, highly agree. I am not defending the way we pulled out of Afghanistan at all, but I do still like the fact that we pulled out of there because we were in there for 20 years and essentially no changes happened. I mean, the United States tried to improve the infrastructure, prop up a government, but all of that to no avail because the second the US pulls out, Taliban takes it right over. No problem whatsoever. Really just hammering in how useless this war was, but still see all these MAGA people who profess they're anti-war taking the early 2000s neocon position and saying, we need to stay in there. We need to fight the Taliban. How much longer? How much longer is it going to fucking take to, you know, to, to, to change that country? Because it's not going to fucking happen. You had 20 years to fight off the Taliban, and it didn't happen. So what is another, say, 5 years or 10 years or 15 years or hell, another 20 years gonna fucking do? It's gonna do dick all. What's frustrating is there really was no clean way to pull out of Afghanistan. It was always going to be a huge mess. They know abortion will fuck over poor and black women if they need to abort. They just go out of state or country. Oh god, the rise of like back alley abortions is gonna skyrocket in Texas. Gonna bring back the old coat hanger method and like a fetus is not a human, okay? And if these conservatives who claim to be so pro-life actually gave a fuck about this unborn child, they would continue to give a fuck about these children after they are born, but they don't. In the words of George Carlin, if you're pre-born, you're fine. If you're preschool, you're fucked. Because once that baby leaves the womb, I mean, not their problem anymore. That baby grows up in a shitty home with shitty parents, not their problem. But if that baby is spared from a horrible upbringing, oh, that's when we have to take huge concern, huge contention. I've seen some people also take the position. I don't really see this that much, but I've seen some people say, well, if say two dumb teenagers don't take proper precaution against pregnancy, like say the guy doesn't wear a condom, girl isn't on birth control, if they're stupid enough to do that, then they should be forced to have the baby as punishment. Like, who the fuck wins there? Like, okay, these two parents may be completely unfit to raise that child, so you're just gonna have this child grow up in a shitty home with shitty parents, or oh, they put them in an adoption home riddled with abuse. Like, wow, you're punishing the kid too with that, you know. Doesn't help that the CIA armed the Taliban. Yep. Yeah, I think we could have left with the equipment. Texas is banning camping for homeless people. Texas is really speed running, being like the most evil evil state in this country. I shared a video that I watched just before the stream from Sam Cedar. What's the name of it? Photo of black principal with kissing his white wife, ordered off social media by Texas school district. Like, was he fucking 1952? Who the fuck cares? Interracial couple. Wow. Like, are we seriously sad about this? Biden isn't getting the backlash he deserves. Same people who called out Trump won't call out Biden on his bullshit. It's frustrating to see people on the left say things like we need to stay in Afghanistan. Xander Hall comes to mind. But yeah, no, really, it is frustrating seeing people like that. And it's also frustrating seeing the people not call out Biden rightfully when it comes to the way we pulled out of that country. You have the people on the left calling him out saying we should have stayed there. And then the people saying, and then the people staying silent. Speaking of Xander Hall, it's very frustrating seeing him go on a victory lap after the whole Afghanistan disaster. I was right all along. Yeah, because staying in there would totally change shit. Yeah, Texas sucks. Patrick, what am I? Oh, stupid? No, I'm Texas. What's the difference? Do you think this abortion law will turn Texas blue faster? Or do you think it's going to cause a bunch of people to move out of Texas and keep it red? I don't know how many people are going to actually move out of Texas because of this law. I would hope it would make Texas go blue. I don't know how big of an effect it would have on that. That would be the best possible outcome, I guess. Yeah, Biden sucks for all the way he handled the $15 minimum wage situation was unforgettable. Yeah, I agree. I'm not a cheerleader for voting Biden anymore. I've made that more than clear on this channel in the past. I mean, if you want to vote, vote. I guess voting Biden is marginally better than voting Trump, but I'm not going to be like, how dare you not vote for Biden? Because I really don't blame anyone at this point for not wanting to participate in this two-party circus. I really don't. I want fuck all to do with it. At the most, maybe I'll vote down ballot. Or if by some miracle we get like a Bernie Sanders-esque Democratic candidate for the presidency, but that's not gonna fucking happen. Where they fucked him over last year and in 2016. Because we're not gonna be seeing any more of him when it comes to the presidency. Guy's like 102 years old. You feel like it was made to deter pro-choice Dems from moving there? Maybe. I don't know, but I kind of just felt that it was just the GOP politicians in Texas. Just they're just fucking evil and just want to take a huge shit on women's rights. Kind of feel gross for voting Biden since we've gotten little to no harm reduction out of his presidency. The only thing, the only major thing I'll give him kudos for is getting out of Afghanistan, but it's not enough for me to be like, I'm riding with Biden now because I know it's going to go right back to the milquetoast corporatist bullshit. History is not going to view the modern two-party system very positively. History is not going to look back at a lot of the shit that's gone on recently in American history very positively. Trump presidency, his cultists, just a lot of this shit. Just got to politics this year. I can imagine how fucked it was. Yeah, I remember my dad telling me he was very surprised at how politically, I don't know about involved, but how aware I was when it came to the politics in this country. Because he was like, when I was your age, I don't give a fuck about any of that. Now he's very, he pays attention a lot to politics. But he was telling me how surprised he was, and I'm like, it's really not it's really not uncommon for people my age to be very involved in politics, or at the very least really pay attention to politics, because it's just so hard to ignore these days. Gen Z is a little bit more politically active than previous generations, I believe. Time flies, not to mention Biden more than double the police. But whoa, holy shit, I didn't notice that. How did I not notice that? Thank you, Mexican Link, for $35. Highly, highly appreciated. Thank you. Texas is very poggant. Wanted to say more, but YouTube is a hard on about censoring super chats. Yeah, that's unfortunate, but God, thank you so much for the $35. Jesus. Thank you for getting me closer to that $100 threshold so I can finally be paid by Google. Maybe monetizing my videos would help get get me to that goal faster, or get me to that threshold faster. I mean, but I curse like a sailor and all of them, and I think I don't want to go through the headache of demonetization and all that, so I don't bother. I don't monetize any of my videos. The only money I take from YouTube are these super chats, which I'm very, very appreciative of. Well, I've made my opinion on anti-vaxxers more than clear, but any chance to shit on them, I'll take. I fucking hate anti-vaxxers. They're the ones halting us from any semblance of normalcy. It's very frustrating because these are the people clamoring for things to go back the way they were. These are the people saying, we don't want mandates, we don't want to wear masks, we don't want anything to do with this stupid virus. And I agree. I don't like any of this. They try to say, oh, the left wants things to stay like this. No one wants things to stay like this. This is a huge fucking disaster. And the only way to make things get back to normal, or at least somewhat normal, faster, is if you take proper precaution, like, wearing masks or taking the vaccine. But these people refuse to fucking do that because they're dumb fucks who do not care about the safety and the health and safety of those around them. And then they wonder why things are still the way they are. They wonder why we're nearing 2 years of being in this fucking pandemic at this point. Opinions on I already read that. What are you at right now for the threshold? Let me check AdSense. I think it's actually against TOS for me to disclose how much money I have, but fuck it, I like taking risks. $33. So I'll be at around 50 something dollars once the money Mexican link sent processes, because it takes a few days to process, and Google takes a deep cut from from the super chat money you make. They take 30% of the money someone donates to you through super chat. Like, I think someone sent me $1 last stream, and I only got 70 cents of that. So 30% of $35. I suck at math. You can figure that out. Yeah, we don't care about ads. I don't either. I'm actually using YouTube Premium now. I'm not paying for it. Fuck that. I get it free for 3 months because I'm paying for Google One. For those of you who don't know, Google One is a service that allows you to have more storage on their services, like Google Photos or other things. I think Google Docs and other things like that. Which I need because I use Google Photos a lot, and that's my main way of storing photos. Once a photo of mine backs up onto Google Photos, I delete it off my phone. And it used to be unlimited storage, but of course, Google now wants money out of you if you want more storage on Google Photos. So I was like, fuck it, I'll be part of the problem and pay up. And now that I'm a member of that, they offered me 3 months free, YouTube Premium for 3 months for free, which is cool. Now on my phone, I can watch YouTube without any ads because I already use ad block. I already use ad block on my laptop and my phone. I used to watch YouTube on the mobile browser version, but they took away dark mode and desktop mode for whatever stupid fucking reason on the mobile desktop version, and now I use the app because that has dark mode. But unfortunately, it has ads, which I used to evade when I used the mobile browser version, and it's been very infuriating because ads on YouTube are so fucking frustrating. Like, I'm in the middle of a video, the person I'm watching is literally in the middle of a sentence, and then cut off, and I gotta watch a stupid ad for whatever the fuck that was always on, what was always being shown in YouTube ads. Like, Like, for example, I'd be watching Vosh or Sam Seed and they'd be in the middle of saying something, and then I get a PragerU or Steven Crowder ad because yeah, that's totally going to resonate with the demographic of people who watch those channels. And then you see conservatives like Steven Crowder say YouTube is censoring them when they literally fucking promote his content in YouTube ads, but whatever. Whatever. But no, it was very frustrating, and I'm glad I have 3 months. I now don't have to endure that for 3 months until when did I get YouTube Premium? I got it a few days ago. August 27th, so it should be November 27th that I no longer use YouTube Premium, and that fucking sucks. Ads aside, what I also really love about Premium is that I can actually listen to YouTube videos in the background when I leave the YouTube app. That is a huge plus for me because there's video. I tend to watch longer videos sometimes, and for me personally, it's hard for me to pay attention to, let's say, a half hour long or even like a 40+ minute long video and just sit there and watch that video all the way through and do nothing else. Usually when I watch a video that is that long, I do something else. I open other tabs and do things, or I talk on Discord, or I play a video game during that. And with now that I have Premium, I can actually do other things on my phone with that video playing in the background. It's very nice. Too bad it's gonna go away once that free trial goes away. I missed a good chunk of messages. I'm sorry. going on a ramble for way too long about YouTube Premium. My brother is an anti-vaxxer. He said he won't take one because of the experiments on black people in the past. What? That's fucking weird. I have a friend whose mom was very, very well. Actually, no, the kid's not my friend. More so, I know a kid whose friends with my mom. That's really how I know their mom. Their mom was very, very cautious when it came to the virus. They wouldn't answer their door for anyone. They would go everywhere with a mask, and they were deathly, deathly afraid of this virus. And then when the vaccine rolled out, I don't want to take it. I don't want my kids to take it either. Like, how does that fucking compute? Like, what kind of fucking sense does that make? You're so scared of this virus, you take every precaution necessary to not get this virus to the point where you don't even answer your door for anyone. And then when something comes out that would give you a significantly less chance of catching the virus, or at least catching it and getting it very bad, you don't want it. Make it make sense. To some extent, the American healthcare system is to blame since they set up a shitty relationship with the public, especially minorities, historically speaking. Of course, conspiracy theorists are to blame. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Vosh is pretty good. Don't like Destiny, though. Oh, fuck Destiny. I never really liked Destiny that much. I mean, it used to be for a pretty shitty reason. Back when the whole JonTron thing was big. The whole talking point that JonTron just debated an SJW and he was right about everything. I completely fell for that hook, line, and sinker, and that was my first. That was the first time I ever heard of Destiny, and of course, I didn't listen to the debate at the time. I actually listened to it like a month ago because someone named the Cavernacle made a video about that, and I decided to finally listen to the debate in its entirety. And boy, that solidifies that I'm never watching JonTron again. But back then, I fell for that talking point, and I tried to listen to the debate back then in 2017, was it? And I fell asleep because back then I didn't care at all about political debates. Literally, I fell asleep during it. When I woke up, there was only like 5 minutes left of the debate. And I was like, yeah, I technically listened to it in my sleep, but I still listen to it. So yeah, that I can now, I can now conclusively, uh, I can now say conclusively that JonTron is in fact not a white nationalist because I listened to this debate while asleep. Oh God, I was such a dumbass back then. I don't know where I stand on vaccine mandates, honestly. I agree that everyone should be vaccinated, but I think mandates where people can be kicked out of stores without a warrant is kind of shitty. I don't care. If someone is not vaccinated and they want to participate in society, well, time to get the jab. I don't feel any sympathy for those people. Stephen Carter sucks and his comedy is just insulting people. His comedy is just literal minstrel shows. The only people who find it funny are white racist conservatives. I think we should promote ads and info that is on the side of vaccines, but mandates should probably be a mess. I mean, mandates would definitely be a mess, but I, I don't know any other effective way to get people vaccinated at this point. The microchips. Tabernacle is cool. I don't agree with everything he says, but he's all right. I more just watch him for his commentary on like reactionary drama. Or his commentaries on just internet happenings that have to do with reactionaries. New germaphobe that refused to take the vaccine. Ironically, I just don't see the I just don't see how that makes any sense. JonTron still uploads and people watch him. Disgusting. Yeah, people just brushed that aside. People either flat out don't care or they're like, cool, JonTron is one of us, based. But for the most part, it was just brushed aside. I mean, I guess you could say separate the art from the artist, but it's very hard for me. Very, very hard. Plus, I never really watched JonTron that much to begin with. I kind of watched him when I was like 13, 14, but didn't get really that into his content. I was always way more into like AVGN or Nostalgia Critic at the time when it came to angry reviewers. I don't know if he's really part of the angry reviewer crowd, but I remember him getting like heated in some of his reviews, or at least pretend to get heated for comedic effect. Unless they can't get the vaccine, then that's different. Well, I mean, it's a totally different situation. See ya, Matt. I won't be streaming later tonight, but I assume you mean you'll watch the rest of the stream later tonight. Found out today that my QAnon aunt got banned off of Facebook. Get fucked. I'm sure she's screeching about censorship on whatever the fuck, whatever's out there, whatever alternative is out there for crazy conspiracy nut conservatives. Parler's gone. I don't know if anything came after that. Probably Patriots.win. I don't know. But from what I remember, Patriots.win isn't very kind to QAnoners either. Surprisingly. That really shocked me. Just like James Charles took a break for a few months and came back. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of these people who are outed for being really horrible human beings. A lot of these YouTubers and public figures, I mean, who are outed for being horrible human beings, they disappear for a while, wait for all the drama to subside, then they're like, "Oh, I'm back," and their audience is like, "Oh God, James Charles or whatever other YouTuber you want to throw out there that's a horrible human being is back. Let's completely forget that they're a pedophile or whatever else they were, you know, whatever other horrible thing they were indulging in. They're back. That's awesome." One of the very few YouTubers I didn't see that work on was EDP. He tried to make a triumphant comeback on a some website he made, and that didn't work at all. Well, he doesn't have the same influence as James Charles, I guess. James Charles is like at celebrity status, pretty much, and EDP. I mean, he was popular, but he was mostly just popular in the football community and dumbass memer kids community. I didn't get into Filthy Frank until the year he left. Funnily enough, same with me actually. There was a kid. There was a kid. In 10th grade that I was really good friends with that loved Filthy Frank a lot, and at the time, he would always quote Filthy Frank. He would talk about Filthy Frank a lot, and then I finally gave his content a watch, and I liked it at the time. I don't know about now though, but whatever. I was really into iDubbbz at the time too, which I mean, these days, iDubbbz really isn't that bad. He's made some videos going after anti-vaxxers, which was pretty cool. And of course, his pro-sex worker video, that was pretty cool. And that, that weeded out a very big chunk of his audience, which I say that's for the better, definitely. Do you think in a decade, once mostly boomer politicians die or retire, it will get better? I would like to think so. I would like to think when the younger generations finally take charge, things will get at least marginally better, but I don't know. Power corrupts, and I would imagine the people who are very big idealists now and want to see this country get better and want to, participate in trying to get this country and world to a better place will eventually become the very the corrupt politicians they claim to hate today. Boomers were hippies. I mean, look at them now. My sister was talking to me about how she basically thinks anyone who disagrees with her politically is going to hell. It's sad to me since I used to like spending time with her and her family. Is your sister conservative? Oh, you're talking about your aunt. I'm sorry. Yeah, your aunt is really something else. Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky. In my family, my mom's side, I mean, there's just my one uncle that lives out in Jersey that is a huge chumper. I don't know if he's a QAnon or I don't know if he's that far on, but when my grandma was in the hospital and he stayed with us for like 2 weeks to like help us out and take care of things all day long, all night long in the living room, it was Fox News. Oh my God. That was just insufferable. I remember one of my uncles that lives here, like, there was one time I just couldn't fucking take it anymore. He was like, "How can you watch this shit? Like, it's just garbage. Everything they're saying is just so obviously a lie." And then my uncle was like, "Yeah, whatever," and he didn't want to hear it. And you can obviously tell that pissed him off, but he didn't want to like show it or start anything. But yeah, that's aside from him, it's not really a problem in my family. My father's side, also, I mean, not really many Trumpers. At least I don't think. One of my uncles is kind of he's an anti-vaxer, but and he also has a big thin blue line flag in front of his house. But that's really the only Trumper I can and his kids that are my cousins. I think one of them is a cop, and they're pretty right wing, I think. But aside from them, and my aunt, who he's married to, my aunt is my father's sister, um, sister by blood. She's not really down with any of that. She got vaxxed, and she disagrees with a lot of his politics. Power vacuum still exists, unfortunately, which will always corrupt people. Yeah. Filthy Frank's dark humor worked because he made fun of everyone, including himself. I wonder if Joji ever regrets making those videos. I don't know. Isn't he like a singer now? I know he's pretty big now. Not for Filthy Frank, but he's like making music or whatever now. My sister's more center right. That particular sister, anyway. My other sister is a leftist. That's pretty cool. TJ Kirk did a 180 on his anti SJW stuff too. Yeah, it's very nice to see how he's come around. He was really one of the. He's. I didn't watch many anti SJW YouTubers back when that was at its peak. Mainly watched TJ, and I go back and watch some of his 2016 videos, and oh, I wonder how I. Well, I do know why I enjoyed that. I was a dude. I was stupid, and I fell for all that shit, hook, line, and sinker. But I look back and watch his old 2016 videos, and I'm like, how the fuck did people like this? Like, God. But again, it's nice to see how he has come around. I just wish he would take down those old videos. Is it just me or Fox News used to be good, or lately it's always, or lately always been like that? Fox News has always been dog shit. Ill, thin blue line, yeah. Again, my cousin, who is the son of that uncle that has a big thin blue line flag in front of his house, is a cop, so that's probably why he has that. Speaking of that cousin, I saw him at a family reunion, and he was talking to my dad. Him and my dad were having a bit of a debate about politics, and oh god, he said to my dad at one point, he has a little infant child, but he said, when my child grows up, I'm very hesitant to send him to college because they're only going to teach at the college. They teach these kids to hate conservatives or something like that. Teach them to hate this country and other bullshit like that. I don't like the one after Milo Stewart. Oh, Milo Stewart stuff is very ugly. I watched their video about all the harassment they received back when the anti-SJW shit was at its peak, and they showed clips from videos going after them, and it was some of the most disgusting, vile shit. What made me laugh though was there was this one guy that they showed in their video, one of the examples of videos that were going after them. And the guy was literally like, "I'm not racist. I got black friends." Literally playing into the stereotype of, racists trying to justify their racism by saying they got a few black friends. It made me laugh, but no, it's really awful what they had to go through, and still go through to an extent. I mean, you see their videos still got a hefty amount of dislikes, and you still see people saying some pretty ugly shit in the comments towards them. I just love how all these anti-SJW channels with like hundreds of thousands, or in some cases even millions of subscribers, talk about how SJWs are this huge problem ruining our society. That was big in 2016, and then you see the channels they would routinely go after, like Milo Stewart, Riley Dennis, or that one little educational kids thing, queer kid stuff. That was what it was called. They would talk about these channels like, having all this influence and being scary and all that, promoting this evil agenda, and then you see these channels have like a couple of thousand subscribers or like 10,000 subscribers, and that's it. And they're being bombarded by these channels with like 500,000 subscribers or a million subscribers. Like, I'm supposed to believe that this is a huge issue that is plaguing our society. And then the examples you show are these channels with minuscule followings that have like no influence whatsoever and would be completely obscure if you didn't use these kinds of channels as punching bag. Do you feel like if more casuals got into politics, it would help? I feel like a lot of people don't see how bad our leaders are. I think that would help tremendously if more people who are apolitical and don't care about politics at all would, start caring about what is going on around us, because apathy is something that is a huge problem in this world. A lot of people just kind of turn a blind eye to huge issues like, say, climate change and other issues of the sort. And I think if more people cared about these sorts of issues and did something about them, then maybe we would see some positive shift in this world, or at least I hope. Maybe that's just wishful thinking, but I do think apathy is a big problem. A lot of people just kind of don't care about what is going on in the world around them and what is happening to, like, say, marginalized people in this world. It's pretty. It's frustrating. I mean, to an extent, I can't blame a person for not wanting to pay attention to politics because it's a shit show. I don't think anyone denies that. Politics is a very depressing topic. If you pay attention to it a lot, you're bound to be like, this world is such a shithole, and have a pretty doomer mindset. But I do think it is something that more people should pay attention to and not just turn a blind eye to, because that just keeps things the way they are. We're tired of right wingers saying America is becoming socialist/communist just because younger people don't agree and they can't get away with shitty behavior. Yeah, I'm very tired of that. Extremely tired of that. They point to politicians like AOC or Ilhan Omar, say, look at these radical socialist communists infiltrating the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party is turning communist because these handful of politicians are advocating for very basic things like universal health care and free college, very basic and readily available things in other developed countries. Very scary. TJ Kirk said he realized the craziness of anti-SJWs when they started to embrace Trump. Yeah, I know. I remember him saying that. He also said I believe he's also said he noticed all these white nationalists joining in and using the anti-SJW bandwagon as a means to promote their awful ideologies, and he just wanted to distance himself from that. I think he said that in one of his discussions with Vosh. People need dramatic examples to shake them out of apathy. Nice quote, but I think we've had plenty of crazy examples that would surely shake people out of apathy, but it just doesn't. Yeah, starting to think politics is a thing everyone should get into. Climate change is so scary. It is scary. All these boomers saying it's not a big deal. I mean, it is not a big deal to them because it doesn't affect them. They'll be dead by the time we see some major consequences of climate change. But I'm going to be around, likely, to see that. I mean, it's not fair that, you're so apathetic towards a problem that's going to affect me and generations after mine. I mean, I look at my 7-year-old cousin. Well, he turned 8 recently, but I just think of all the shit he's going to endure when he gets older, as a result of incompetent boomers and people in older generations in general not giving a fuck about this world. My phone is gonna die. I'll see you later. We'll see you, Jonah Blob. It was a pleasure having you here. Wow. An hour and 5 minutes already. Wow. It's always fun going on these spiels because time just flies doing them. Opinions on people like Greta Thunberg. I mostly support her. A lot of people don't, but I mean, it's cool seeing someone her age be so involved. I mean, you can say all she did was make a speech and not really make any substantial change, but I feel like even measures like that, even merely just speaking about issues, is enough to bring awareness to a lot of people, especially if it's broadcasted on a large platform. And, she definitely started a discussion about climate change at the very least. So yeah, I mean, she's mostly known for just making a speech, but who says that she's not going to accomplish many things when she gets older? I mean, she's only what, 17 now? She was like 14 when she did that speech, I think. I forget how old she is. Oh no, she's 18. Oh, wow. Yeah, she's still pretty young. I mean, I don't think she won't. I don't think saying that she's done fuck all is really fair, because again, she's fresh out of her teen years now. Hello, Leo. Welcome back. I think you were here earlier, right? Yeah, she was 16 at the time. I think a lot of people got. I think Greta got a lot of people to care about climate change. She definitely, like I said, sparked a discussion. A lot of it were angry. A lot of that discussion was boomer conservatives getting angry. But no, I do think she has made a positive impact in the world. Got an email from my professor. Reminder that your work is due Sunday. Well, fuck you. I'm ahead of the curve and I already got all my work done for your class, so I don't need your shitty reminder. Remember dumb fuck conservatives being very ableist towards her, saying, "Oh, she's taken advantage of because of her autism," and calling her mentally ill. Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of ugliness like that is very prevalent among conservative circles, especially like boomer conservatives who don't really know or give a fuck at all about mental health issues. But yeah, I remember her being attacked quite a bit for her autism. People used that as ammo, and it was very disgusting to see. Even at the time when that speech was made, I really was disgusted by all that, and I was very supportive of her because that was when I finally that was around the time when I was coming out of the anti-SJW bubble, so I took things like climate change more seriously. Where's the logic when Trump called BLM protesters thugs for being violent but encouraged a riot at the White House? Well, I think you mean the Capitol building. No, there is no logic there because logic does not exist in Trump's mind, in Trump's head. Neither does logic exist in the minds of a lot of his supporters, so they'll just defend things like the January 6th coup while calling BLM protesters and rioters thugs and they need to be locked up, they need to follow the law. Meanwhile, these people are shouting ACAB at the police during their little coup attempt. Like, the hypocrisy is so blatant, but these people won't see it because they're so blind. They, they're just so hyper partisan that they don't see it. Recently stopped talking to a friend because he wouldn't own up to his bullshit. It sounds very relatable. Knew quite a bit of people who would not own up to their bullshit, so I just kind of stopped talking to them. Also, fuck the oil companies who has the politicians in their pocket. Indeed. I always thought climate change is a serious issue, even when some of my opinions were kind of reactionary. It was always an issue that I took seriously, don't get me wrong, but it was an issue that I didn't pay enough attention to until I finally started to kind of reject the whole anti-SJW shit and take politics and actual issues more seriously. Issues that aren't just blue-haired college kids not wanting Milo Yiannopoulos or Steven Crowder speaking at their college campus because yeah, that's totally a huge issue in this country. Totally. Trump is an actor. He knows what he's doing. So sad people fell for his antics. I kind of shift back and forth between that. Like, sometimes I'm like, yeah, Trump knows what he's doing. He's just riling up his base, saying whatever appeases them the most. But then there are other times where I'm like, maybe he really doesn't have, maybe he really isn't all that right in the head. Oh God, remember Trump saying he was saying to his base, get vaccinated? Ugh. It was funny to see him get booed by his own voter base. Main issues I focused on weren't reactionary. Weren't reactionary were healthcare for all, free college, climate change, ending the wars, and higher wages. Yeah, I mean, I think I kind of sort of cared about those things back then. I didn't really pay attention to those issues that much, but I definitely didn't completely deny the existence of those issues or try to say that those aren't real issues. Stopped talking to a person when I realized he was a racist, nationalist shit. Cutting out hateful opinions is okay. I remember you made a video backing this up. Yeah, I still totally stand by that. If someone who you consider a friend is a racist dipshit or a bigot of any stride, then you're perfectly in the right to cut them off. Like I see people say all the time, "Oh, if you cut people off for their political opinions, then you're weak." Well, I think it's weak to just hang out with people who are hateful pieces of shit and don't call them out for being hateful pieces of shit, and just accept it, even if it disgusts you. I think that's pretty weak. Just keeping your mouth shut like that. I used to have a friend who I had a pretty heated disagreement with like 2 years ago. He posted some stupid straight pride meme and I was like, and we had a little bit of an argument about that on Instagram, and it turned really ugly. Said some really fucked up shit about me and my family that I'd rather not get into, and cut him completely off there. Realized he was not a person that was worth my time, not a person that I wanted to be around at all, and want fuck all to do with. I still hear updates about him from some people who still kind of sort of keep up with him. All my friends hate him, but there's still some people who are like followed him on social media just to see the stupid shitty posts, and yeah, it's typical conservative dumb fuckery, or far right dumb fuckery actually. Yeah, if a person is, say, a racist or a transphobe or a homophobe or anything of the sort, that's a done deal for me. I want fuck all to do with them. And it's not weak whatsoever to cut those kinds of people off. Try to give the people the benefit of the doubt usually, but I draw the line at any form of hateful bullshit. For me, when you get to the point where you're giving a person the benefit of the doubt, that's evidence enough that they're probably a very yikesy person, and you should be very cautious of them. Just scrolling through Twitter on my phone. Overwatch 2 is trending. Wow, people forgot about the awful working conditions at Blizzard very quickly. Stop talking to my mom. She's a fucking racist and a child abuser. I suffered for fucking years. Very sorry to hear that. You definitely don't deserve a person like that in your life. And it's very heartbreaking to hear, people suffering abuse at the hands of their own parents. The people who are supposed to love them conditionally and the people who are supposed to protect and take care of them being the very people that are their abusers. It's always sad to hear, and I hate hearing about that. Not to say you can't talk about it. It's just something that is upsetting for obvious reasons. Because I have my problems with my mother, of course. I've talked about that in the past, but she's really not a bad person. It's just she has her own problems going on with her. But still, I love her, and she loves me unconditionally. And even the problems we have from time to time doesn't negate that. Just horrible hearing people have shitty parents. Hearing about people having shitty parents. Influence is greater than people realize. You will become like the people you hang out with if you surround yourself around hate. You will become hateful. Yeah, I mean, I think this also extends to the kind of content you consume, because I've talked about this before. I used to consume a lot of anti-SW content, and that led me to being a complete douchebag to people. Like, I would make very inappropriate jokes to people. Like, I've used this example before. There was a kid from I think it was Pakistan. He was from. He transferred to our school. He was in the school uh, before the school he was in with me, but he moved just a few years before. And I used to make like ISIS jokes around. You're like, oh, you're a terrorist, and it was just stupid, shitty, edgy humor. But he would always tell me that he really didn't like these jokes, stop making these jokes, and that was just reason for me to keep going, because I liked the reaction at the time. And you know, I would just be a hateful dumb fuck around a lot of people. I think watching that kind of content really just poisoned my mind for a good amount of time, because I saw saying like anything that comes to your head, saying anything that comes to your head out loud, no matter how inappropriate it was perfectly fine, because you could joke about anything. It's just jokes. And I've had people come after me before saying, well, I mean, yeah, it is just jokes. Well, you have a problem with jokes? And no, I don't have a problem with the jokes or edgy humor. It just really depends on, it just really depends on what the joke is and who it is geared towards. If it's just a silly, edgy joke that's not meant to be hateful towards anyone, then fine. But if you're making a joke about, say, a black person when a black person is around, and it's obvious you're making a joke at their expense, or even making that joke to kind of sort of dog whistle racism, that's when I have a problem, because these sorts of jokes normalize these sorts of hateful beliefs in the heads of many people. It's really not rocket science. I don't have a problem with more edgy kind of humor. Just don't be a dumb fuck and don't be a hateful piece of shit and use edgy humor as an excuse to be hateful towards people and hide behind the cloak of, well, it's just edgy humor. Just say you're a hateful piece of shit. Don't be a fucking coward. Stop hiding behind jokes. Made a mistake trusting her. I thought I could give her another chance, but I fucked up. Well, I mean, I won't. No, it's not entirely your fault. If your mom is an abusive piece of shit, she is an abusive piece of shit, and no, don't blame yourself at all for her own awful actions. Why don't I like Destiny? Well, he has some pretty reactionary tendencies, and his defense of Kyle Rittenhouse really put a sour taste in my mouth. Anti-SJWs are out of touch with most people, it seems. I mean, yeah. I think you're just out of touch with society in general if you're still calling yourself unironically an anti-SJW and calling people unironically calling other people SJWs. I think that's kind of indicative that you really need to move on with the time. God, my hair is such a mess. I love it. I think this is the longest it's been in a while. Wow. Starting to get kind of annoying though. It's getting in my face a lot. Why did you hate his defense? Didn't see it. Oh God. This is going like a year back now. I watched his debate with Vosh about this, and I think it was just the typical talking points. Like he was just defending property, yada yada yada. I gotta watch it again. I just remember Destiny defending Kyle Rittenhouse, and that really just put a sour taste in my mouth and just solidified that I'm really not a Destiny fan. That I really want fuck all to do with Destiny and its content. I think defending Kyle Rittenhouse is reason enough for you to stay away from it. I think someone defending Kyle Rittenhouse, I mean, is reason enough to distance yourself from a person and the content they put out. Remember when I said to my friends I was an anti-feminist back in early 2018, and they were asking me why I was an anti-feminist since they seemed more on the side of feminism. Yeah, I used to parade around as an anti-feminist back in high school, and quite a bit of people in my high school didn't really like that because I live in NYC, one of the most progressive parts of this country. And yeah, that certainly didn't do me any favors when it came to making friends. Because back then, when I would hear the word feminist or feminism, I would think of blue haired, whiny college girl. Because let's be honest, those kinds of people were perfect ammo for reactionaries to spread their awful beliefs and to make these sorts of, ideas and positions seem like it was only held by crazy people. Only crazy people are feminists. Only these crazy blue haired college kids that are insufferable are feminists. And that's the kind of person a feminist is. They use these sorts of people to malign these sorts of things for years on end, and it worked. It worked. A lot of people grew out of it, thankfully, but there are people who still, you know, malign feminism just based on the idea that it's just a fringe, crazy belief that is only held by fringe, crazy people. The SJW thing died so long ago. Yeah, but some people are still writing that. Like, SJW, let me search that up on YouTube. There's a channel called SJW Central that still uploads SJW cringe compilations. Jesus Christ. I mean, a lot of the videos I see when I type up SJWs are from like 5 or 6 years ago, but still some people still riding that train, even though the wheels came off years ago. Remember, I told you about the crazy dude that threatened to call the cops while his uncle was Curtis Sliwa. Yeah, well, that's not surprising. Yeah, yeah. Curtis Sliwa is the person that group that Shuon had joined for a brief time, endorsed. Yeah. Oh, God, I'm completely done with her. Speaking of her, let me talk about her for a few minutes on this stream. She is a completely politically inept dumb fuck that I just want nothing to do with now. Her joining a far right organization without doing the basic research just solidifies that I want nothing to do with her. It's likely that she wasn't doing this nefariously to, because she's legitimately right wing. She just saw that this organization was called New York State Populist Group or whatever it was called. She saw the word populism, joined it without doing the bare minimum research to find, this group has people who are racist, xenophobic. They defended the January 6th coup. They're anti BLM. They're anti masks. They're anti vax. The whole nine yards, and she joined that group made up of awful people like that. Now granted, she left because people were calling her out for it, but still, it's just infuriating, absolutely infuriating to just see her continuously be a dumb fuck and just do nothing to improve herself. And I'm just so over it. Well, BLM and feminists have been so mismatched with what they actually are. I had my own Ben Shapiro phase, unfortunately. I think I sorta had a Ben Shapiro phase. Not really. I mean, I was never like on the right. Okay, maybe a lot of my positions back then were probably right wing, but still, I considered myself a liberal. I still was I was still had uh, basic principles that are pretty left wing. Like I was pro-choice back then. Even I was pro LGBTQ plus rights and all of those things. But still, I saw I kind of drank the Kool-Aid when it came to Ben Shapiro being a master debater. That sounds wrong, but no, I kind of fell into that. I kind of fell into that whole thing because people would upload videos of Ben Shapiro destroying college kids, and I thought, wow, look at this guy destroy these SJWs, and then people like TJ Kirk started making videos about him, and that kind of pulled me out pretty quickly. It's probably cringe, but TJ did kind of have an influence on me going further left because even in 2017, he was kind of going after a lot of these big anti-SJW right-wing figures. Hassan said he thinks the anti-SJW bandwagon is going to come back. I hope not. Why does he think that? Conspiracy theorists claim they hate the establishment, yet keep voting for the establishment unironically, because they don't actually hate the establishment. They claim to hate the establishment when they get banned off Facebook for saying the N word or whatever the fuck. these people don't actually care. It's only the quote unquote liberal elite establishment they claim to hate. But if the establishment is fighting on their side, like say GOP politicians who are bought and paid for by big corporations, they have no problem falling behind these sorts of people because they're riled up by stupid culture war bullshit like critical race theory being supposedly a huge problem in this country or anything of the sort. These establishment politicians telling them that these are scary things they should care about. They fall behind. They fall they fall for it hook, line, and sinker. Watch out if you take any public transportation. There was a dude named Nico and he pissed on a shoe and threw it on a home. What the fuck? Well, luckily for me, I don't take public transportation, so I'm all right, I guess. I'm not going to be encountering this guy more than likely, but if you had an encounter with this guy, oh, my condolences. I hope you kicked his teeth in. Ben Shapiro just talks fast and strawmans. Indeed. Probably because of how shitty of a President Biden is. Well, yeah, I can understand that point of view then. I really don't know if anti-SW videos are going to make a huge comeback to the point where it's like how it was in 2016 because you're never going to recapture that same magic. Most people have just simply grew out of that kind of content. A lot of the people who claim to be anti-SWs back then are like leftists now because they're not 14 anymore and have actually, read up on real politics. Hello, KJ Setzer. I'm sorry, I suck with names. How are you doing? Welcome. So many poor people are duped voting for the very establishment that goes against their best interests. That's pretty much why these people vote for these corporatists because they're duped into voting for them. A lot of these Republicans claim to care about. They claim to care about the poorer folk, and they want, and then they vote against their interests because again they're so caught up on stupid culture war bullshit. It's all about duping people. If they didn't dupe these people, then people wouldn't vote for these kind of politicians. How are so many people so misinformed on CRT? There's something called Google. Well, like I said, duping people is a big part of politics, and that's how a lot of these politicians get elected. And all these people fall behind, just go right behind these politicians, even though they're blatantly lying to their faces about things like critical race theory. You know, people don't care about the facts. A lot of the right wing don't care about the facts. When, ironically, when they're the ones saying facts don't care about your feelings, but we could talk about the hypocrisy of that all day, but no, they really don't care about the facts. They're in their own little echo chamber, and any article completely disproving their talking points or anything that has any sort of facts that go against their version of reality, they're not going to listen to. They don't fucking care. They're set in their ways. They are going to continue to rail against things like critical race theory and say it's an awful thing that is plaguing our country when it just simply isn't. They fall for lies peddled by again corporatists that don't give a fuck about them. They just want their votes that are completely bought and paid for by big corporations. Poor people are far less likely to vote than rich people for a few reasons. For one thing, voter suppression. Secondly, they don't trust either party. Yeah, and then you see a bunch of these people claim to care about this group of people you mentioned, and then vote for politicians that completely go against their interests. Like you'll see a Republican say, "I care about the working folk. I want things to get better for the working folk," and then they vote for a GOP politician. Not to try to peddle the talking point that the Democratic Party is much better, but the Republican Party especially. More people make political alignments based on emotion and not facts. Indeed, of course. Because again, if GOP politicians just relied on facts alone, they wouldn't be elected. American politics are toxic when it comes to having different opinions. Depends on what the opinion is. If someone says they don't like black people or LGBTQ plus people, or most people won't just flat out say that, but they'll say things like, "I don't like the LGBT agenda being shoved in my face," or "I don't like the quote unquote woke diversity in this TV show or movie or video game." That's usually a pretty good indicator that they're bigoted. And yeah, I don't want those opinions around me. I made a video about Afghanistan already. It's called what is it called? Bad memory. You'd think I'd have a better memory when it comes to the videos I've made, but no. About Afghanistan and the Taliban. So you can either watch this now or when the stream is over. Psych Mask CRT has been around for a while. The fuck you guys talking about? Yeah. Yeah, I talked about the flood here in New York City at the very beginning of the stream. I'm not gonna talk about it all over again, but it was very bad. My basement got severely flooded, but everything for the most part is okay now. My ceiling started to leak. That's why there's garbage bags on the ceiling. And of course, of all places, it has to be right above my bed. So yeah, that's fun. But yeah, and aside from that inconvenience, things are okay. I'm safe. That's why I put in the description, yes, I'm safe. Because I figured people would bring that up and ask if everything's okay, because there was a person in the comment section of my latest video asking if I was alright. Anyone who claims to like gay people but would burn a rainbow flag is a homophobe, just hiding their hatred. Yeah, they say things. They say things to justify actions like that. Like, well, I'm not against gay people, but the community I don't like because the community is so toxic. But I don't care about. But I don't care about the simple fact that you're gay or trans or anything of the sort. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I don't know about that one, buddy. Much like the people who say, "I'm not racist, but I don't like BLM." They're thugs. They're criminals. They need to be locked up. Again, they need to follow the law. Burning down my small businesses. Notice the only time conservatives care about small businesses is when they can use pretending to care about small businesses as a means to be racist. I think wokeness can be a problem if it goes as extreme like leftist Twitter, but right wingers just use it as a buzzword to mean anything that involves social progress. That's why I don't like using that word. I don't like saying woke or anything like that because, one, it originated as slang in the African American community to describe people who are aware of systemic issues in our society, and now it's just being completely mangled and maligned and used as a buzzword for people who like social justice. And also because really it's a conservative buzzword at this point. You see fucking Trump saying woke now to refer to people who are more progressive. It's really just a buzzword to demean people who are for progress in society, who are for things like social justice and social equality, and are aware of things like systemic racism. That's why I don't like using it, because people could just easily think of me as someone who is part of this crowd who uses it as a pejorative in that manner. And so I'm really not a fan of using that word as a pejorative. BLM is literally the center of anti-racism, and that's exactly why conservatives hate it. Remember, my friend met this one guy who refused to wear a mask and refused to take the vaccine. Well, your friend met a guy that is part of a scarily large group of people in this country. I used to be one of those. I used to be one of those. Unfortunately, why do we need Pride Month? Don't know why people hate it when others express themselves. Oh God, you reminded me of an awful, awful video I made like 2 years ago, actually. No, 3 years ago, I think, or fuck, even 4 years. I forget when exactly I made that video, but made a video saying we don't need Pride Month because gay people can marry now. Gay people have rights. Totally, they're totally on the same playing field as cis straight people, cis het people. I mean, so why do we need a Pride Month? We don't need it shoved in our faces anymore. And garbage like that. I think, yeah, I still do have it saved on Google Photos, and I sometimes watch really bad old videos of mine, like the one I mentioned, the Pride Month one I mentioned, or oh God, a video where I said we don't need Black History Month because Black people have their rights. Again, they're totally on a equal playing field as white people. Racism is seen as mostly a bad thing these days, so why do we need Black History Month? Oh God, it's disgusting, absolutely disgusting that I once thought of. I used to ascribe to talking points like that. And I got a huge amount of support for those videos. A lot of people who were in my audience at the time were like, yeah, preach. I totally agree. Oh, to think I once harvested an audience of people like that. Like I was never relevant to begin with, but my numbers have really went in the toilet since I went hard left, and I'm fine with that because I'd rather have a teeny tiny audience of rational minded people than a somewhat larger audience of complete reactionary dumb fucks. Speaking of social justice, Phil Vischer actually made videos on stuff like conservative versus liberal abortion and other political terminology. Maybe I should give that a watch. I only use it as a pejorative towards purity leftists, and that's only if I know other people well enough. But yeah, I usually just say purity lefty if someone is, hyper gatekeepy in the left. They'll take tweets from like 5 years ago, back when someone was a dumb fuck, when in that span of time between them making a stupid tweet and now, they've clearly changed as a person, but they'll still use tweets from like 5 years ago of someone saying something very, very offensive, or very, very, yeah, just go with offensive. And they'll be like, see, you're not a real lefty because he said this back in 2016. Like, oh, wow, cool. I mean, someone said something stupid in 2016, back when most people were edgy, dumb fucks on the internet and didn't know any better. What are you exposing them for if they've clearly changed in that span of time? Like, if someone engages in shit like that, then yeah, I normally just call them purity lefties, but yeah, I don't say woke or anything like that. or SJW. Funny how everyone agrees the human experience is unique until it comes to gender and sexual orientation. Yeah, yeah. Really points out the hypocrisy in a lot of people in the right wing. My friend met a dude that pisses in water bottles. Well, do they have a legit reason to do that? Like maybe they don't have a home, so all they have is a water bottle to piss in. I don't know why this reminded me of that, but or that reminded me of this, but anyone remember the stupid water bottle flip challenge or whatever it was? You used to see that all the time in middle school, like no, high school actually, like 5 years ago. That was huge. I remember some girl was stupid enough to do that with a glass bottle during lunch period. Like, yeah, that totally would go well. And surprise, surprise, it broke. Pride Month goes beyond gay people, trans people, non-binary people, bi and pansexual people, etc. Oh yeah, I was totally aware of this back then. I knew Pride Month didn't just cover gay people, but I was still under the mindset that yeah, this all the LGBTQ plus people are seen as equal now because now they can marry, and they totally have all their rights, and most people are accepting of them now. So why should we have a Pride Month? That was the stupid logic I went by back then. And again, people ate that shit up back then. I got a lot of people saying, "Yeah, I totally agree with you. I love this video. Great points you made." I watched that video now. It's some of the worst shit I've ever watched. You used to see that shit a lot back in 2016 and 2017. Yeah, that's when I was at its peak. Yeah, along with dabbing, it was a stupid trend. Oh god, dabbing! I forgot about dabbing. That even still a thing? That was big when I was in high school. I mean, I like dabbing if it's inhaling weed, but if it's the stupid arm gesture, then yeah, no thank you. Now the craze is Among Us. I never played that game. I don't know if it's good or not. I usually don't pay attention to the fad of video games like Fortnite or Five Nights at Freddy's or any other game that was big for a time and then people just kind of drop and leave because it's not the biggest thing anymore. Maybe I should try. Oh, sorry, my phone fell on my laptop. I don't know if that was loud for you. Maybe I should try Among Us. I don't know. Again, it might have been fun. It might be fun, but I don't know. Then again, I'm more into like story, single player campaign type games. Not really into stuff like Among Us. Do you watch Naruto? Nope. 2016 was such a bad year. Laughed my ass off. We are still dealing with its shit today. Yeah, in many ways, I agree. Legalize weed already. Illegal weed leads to more crime unless you disagree. Oh, no, I totally agree. Legalize weed. Hell, I'm for legalizing all drugs. I see drug consumption as a victimless crime. If I don't necessarily agree with doing drugs in and of itself, but if one wants to do drugs, put that awful shit into their body, have at it. Not my business, and it should not be the business of anyone, especially the government. but we probably will never see that. But you might see nationwide weed legalization. I mean, legalized here in New York just recently. It was decriminalized for a long time, but now it's fully legal. I don't know if that took into effect just yet. I don't know. I don't know if it's officially takes effect at the end of the year, but whatever. Bottom line is, it's finally considered legal here in New York. I mean, we had the rise of Trump and his minions in 2016. Yeah, for like story-driven games, you should try the Portal games and/or Half-Life. Tech Valve to count to three. Teach Valve to count to three. Yeah, those are games I definitely want to play someday. I just need a competent PC to play them on. Right, it's like we love freedom, but you can't choose how abortion is carried out, and self expression of sexuality is forbidden as well as other restrictions. It's freedom for them and no freedom for anyone else. These people don't actually care about freedom, they just care about upholding the status quo. They care about, of course, white supremacy, even though a lot of them don't want to admit to that. They hate gay people. They'll do anything to suppress the rights of LGBTQ plus people, trans people especially. They just don't like the right. They like rights for them. They like freedom for themselves, but don't care about basic human rights when it comes to people they don't like. When it comes to groups of people they don't like. Well, legalizing all drugs hurt a lot of people. Well, cigarettes and alcohol definitely hurt a lot of people. So and those are perfectly legal. Trans people have it so bad. It's so sad. Oh, I definitely feel so much for trans people. Definitely. So maligned in this country. And really all around the world. I mean, fucking look at the UK. You have this stupid trans sports debate. It's funny. Conservatives have never given a fuck about women's sports. Hell, women's sports, I'm sure, were at the brunt of a lot of conservatives' jokes. But now all of a sudden, they care about They care about women's sports when it comes to using it as an excuse to demean trans people. Very, very convenient that they just now start caring about women's sports. When for years on end, like I said, they've joked about women's sports. They never cared about women's sports. I wish supporting human rights wasn't a radical position, but people are idiots. It's very infuriating living in a world where not being racist, not being transphobic, homophobic, bigot of any stride is considered controversial to many people. But here we are. Here we are in a world filled with dumb, fuck, hateful idiots. That's kind of redundant, but whatever. Hate being stuck in the closet. I very much feel for you having to live with a bigoted family. Well, you yourself are part of the LGBTQ plus community. Like, I live with my mom and uncles, and I mean they're milk toast liberals who are boomers, or well, they're not. Well, my one of my uncles is literally a boomer, but my mom and uncle, my mom and younger uncle, are just a few years shy of being boomers, but they're essentially boomers. But yeah, they don't hate trans people. They don't hate LGBT people. Has or had a trans woman at her job, and she still referred to her as a he. Constantly misgendering her. Which she didn't do that maliciously. She didn't do that as a way to say she's not valid or anything. My mom just didn't understand, and my mom just saw that she had a more masculine appearance, but my mom saw that she had a more masculine appearance, and thus still referred to her by uh, pronouns assigned at birth. If it doesn't harm anyone, who do people care? Why do people care so much about self-expression? Because it goes against their set of norms. That's ultimately why. I think we should ban alcohol and cigarettes, though it would just cause more black market crime. Shit. Well, I mean, look at prohibition. Look at how well that one. Look at how well that. Well, I mean, we've already tried the alcohol ban. It's a fucking disaster. Led to a huge spike in black market. A huge spike in the black market. Huge spike in organized crime. So yeah. I do genuinely think if we legalized all drugs, you would see a huge decrease in gang violence and things of the sort because drugs are what funds a lot of these gangs that that this country wants to crack down on so much, but won't actually take the proper steps. But it won't take the proper steps to actually crack down on, and think just throwing black people in jail is going to solve the problem. Had to pick my nose for a second there. I don't think you wanted to see that. It was really bothering me for a while. It's basically a bias to hear someone's voice or see their appearance and immediately assume they're a man or a woman. I've come a long way from undoing this bias. I'm still trying to undo that bias, but I try my best when I first meet a person and I don't know their pronouns yet. I just refer to them as them, use they, them pronouns because, again, I don't know their identity yet. And I don't want to be insensitive by accidentally misgendering them. So that's why I just stick to they them pronouns when I first meet a person, or at least try to stick to they them pronouns when I first meet a person, or if I'm just referring to a person who I don't know the gender of. But sometimes I'll fuck up. Like if I'm referring to someone I don't know and they have an outwardly masculine or feminine appearance, I'll refer to them as he or she. I'm trying hard not to do that anymore. Making substances illegal does more harm than good. In my good, change my mind. Well, you're not gonna get any of that from me because I wholeheartedly agree. The war on drugs is so fucking pointless. Yeah, the only point it serves is throwing minorities in jail. Improving communities is what prevents crime, as well as education and a stable, safe family, not illegalizing substances. Yes, I absolutely agree. I think we should take steps like that, but alas, we have things like the prison industrial complex in this country, for-profit prisons, and as long as those exist and continue to put money in the pockets of politicians, we will not see anything like that. Yeah, public education sucks. Good thing I graduate this year. Good for you. I've been out of the public education system for 2 years now. I graduated just a year before this COVID nightmare. Well, really, less than a year. I graduated in June of 2019, and shit started to really hit the fan uh, around March 2020. Yes, I am a cab. Despise cops. Yeah, right. It feels like I graduated a longer time ago. And then I think, oh, it's only been 2 years since I graduated high school. Wow. Mainly because so much has fucking changed in the time between then and now. Like you look at look at pictures from 2019 and see people and gathered in public areas with no masks, no social distancing, none of that because there was no virus yet. Feels like you're looking at a completely different generation of people. Like anyone else feel that? You see pictures from just 2 years ago and you feel like you're looking at pictures of people from like 1900. You're looking at a bygone generation. I know you're still kind of upset about OBA, but I don't think he was a bad person. He was just a little too blunt at times. Yeah, if you put him possessing child pornography aside, maybe. I do not miss school at all. Well, not high school. I already made my distaste for high school pretty clear, but long story short, I really don't miss high school. I wasn't bullied or anything. I just didn't like the kids and teachers I was around. People told me when I would enter college, I would miss high school so much. Even the teachers said, "Oh, you're gonna miss high school so much because college they don't fuck around. College is gonna be so much harder." When I was actually going to college, I loved it so much because I wasn't around all the toxic fucking dumbasses that were in my high school. The professors were chill. They weren't screaming every 2 seconds because the kids would rabble rouse in the classroom. I don't miss high school. Good riddance. Well, I completely agree with that sentiment. Completely behind that because I don't miss high school one bit. Teachers always make the school you're going to after a certain year or college after senior year is so fucking scary. I remember in elementary school, the teachers are like, middle school is going to be so much harder. You got to prepare yourself. Middle school is a fucking breeze. I remember middle school making high school sound so scary. The teachers don't fuck around. Things are going to be so much harder. You really, really need to prepare. High school really wasn't all that different from middle school. High school made college sound so scary, like everything was going to be so awful, so hard. The professors are going to be really hard on you. You're going to be stressing out so much. Nothing really that bad. I mean, I did stress out a little bit during some semesters, but that was really on me because certain times I would have really bad time management and try to crunch and do things at the last minute. But I think I've gotten better with that. I've been getting my assignments done early. so I could have more time to enjoy myself. And things have been pretty good so far in this semester. And last semester didn't go that bad either because I had better time management, like I said. Really just comes down to that. If you're good at getting things out of the way relatively early and thus giving yourself more free time, things are, I wouldn't say a breeze, but things are substantially more easy. So yeah, fuck all those teachers that tried to say, "Oh, you're gonna miss high school so much because college is so hard and it's gonna be so stressful." Yeah, throw that shit out in the garbage. Wasted years trying to be something I wasn't. Yeah, I'm sure. College isn't as hard as high school for me. Yeah, I mean, I remember stressing a lot more in high school than than I am in college right now. Good to hear that you're doing well in college. Well, thank you. 2 hours. Wow, 2 hours and 6 minutes to be exact. Huh, I was not expecting to go the full 2 hours, but I never do actually expect to go the full 2 hours, do I? Usually, I'm very uncomfortable being in the same position for a very long time for like 2 hours. But since I'm all sore from having to help out with the major flood we had the other night, this is actually very relaxing because my legs are all sore, my arms are all sore, my back is sore. I can barely fucking bend down. Like when I try to bend down to sit on something, it hurts a lot. Hurts my legs a lot, hurts my back a lot because really overexerted myself the other night when me and my uncle were trying to trying to clean up the water. I was in the basement, but I say in like 3 minutes I'm ending the stream. Let me get a drink. Well, I don't know. Let me be generous and let me end this stream off when it's an hour, 2 hours and 15 minutes. That sounds like a nice time to end it off, right? This has certainly been fun, though. My last stream was a complete fucking failure. I remember at one point there's literally just one person watching for like 10 minutes or 20 minutes actually. I was worried that this stream would follow suit. When you leave high school, you realize most of your high school friends were fake all along. Yeah, yeah. Um, there have been some friends I made in high school that I have not spoken to since graduating, but for the most part, I've kept in touch with my high school buddies. Some have even went to the same college as me, and I used to talk to them in the college cafeteria in between my classes. Yeah, it was good talking to you guys. Likewise, it was pretty fun. Many of my high school friends are fake. That's unfortunate to hear. For me, my main problem was in 10th grade. Um, I befriended a lot of people who either graduated before me or transfer schools. By the time senior year came around, I barely had anyone to fucking talk to. I had a small handful of people. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't a complete loner in senior year, but it definitely wasn't what it was. Definitely wasn't nearly as fun. 10th grade was the pinnacle of my high school years. A lot of fun that year because I had so many people to talk to, had a lot of friends, and by the time 11th grade ended, a lot of those friends graduated. And like I said, by the time 11th grade rolled around, a lot of those friends I made also transferred to other high schools. Yeah. Hope OBA comes back, but he needs to apologize. Well, I don't know how you could exactly apologize for having like literally 10,000 plus photos of child pornography and like thousands of videos of child pornography. I don't know. It would be kind of entertaining if he did come back, though, just to see him try to worm his way out of that. Good talking to a YouTuber who isn't an edgelord who talks politics. Well, thank you. I try not to be that because I used to be that a few years ago. And also, this isn't a strictly political channel, as I'm sure you're already aware, because I talk about other things a lot too. I like to keep things diverse. I don't like talking about the same subject over and over again, especially subject as depressing as politics. Remember, people got so frustrated at me when I was first starting to make the political content. They're like, "Stop making all these political videos. I hate them." And I make like one political video and like 5 non-political videos in between every political video I make. Stop fucking crying. But yeah, it's good to see that those people are just gone for the most part, and I've gained a much more, I guess, rational audience, or much less toxic audience, I should say, because a lot of you weren't around back then. But if you saw the people who were watching me back then, ugh, look at old conversations in my Discord server. If you don't believe me. Message retracted. I'm glad that you speak your mind. Too many delusional fanboy sheep just following the herd. Yeah, well, thanks. I don't know what exactly that's in reference to, but yeah, I try to be my own person and not just follow popular opinion. That's not to say I try to be like an edgy contrarian either. Like, there are times where the popular opinion is genuinely the most rational opinion, but yeah, I try to be objective. I don't know why anyone would want such a disgusting prick to come back. I want him to stay gone, OBA anyway. Well, for me, I'd rather him stay gone. But if he were to come back, I would just be interested in seeing how he would try to like worm his way out of possessing all that child pornography and try to like regain his audience back. But aside from that, I mean, just stay gone for all I care. What is OBA's full name? Well, those aren't initials. That's just a shorter way of saying his full channel name. His actual name is John Tollock. I don't think you were around back when I made the OBA videos, but he was someone who would scream at people, would scream over getting banned on some children's social media websites, scream at children for false reporting him, threatened to kill them, threatened to rape them, and he was busted for possessing a huge amount of child pornography a few years ago. Yeah, like Nintendo and PlayStation. Do you prefer one or still like both? I definitely much prefer my PlayStation 5 over my Nintendo Switch, but my favorite console of all time is probably the GameCube. I still love uh, playing on that thing, as all of you know, and it's probably always going to be my favorite system. It was the very first game console I ever played on. Has a lot of memories attached to it, and I love the games I've been collecting so far for the GameCube. So Nintendo still holds a near and dear place in my heart. Don't get me wrong. Just because I hate Nintendo in the current day doesn't mean I just hate Nintendo as a whole. Still make great games. I just hate the business aspect of Nintendo. That really goes for like any video game corporation, right? You love the games, but you don't like the corporation itself. I saw your feet fetish rant video, and I gotta say, is that even though I have a foot fetish, sometimes I wouldn't go too far in liking people who like this fetish. I don't want to be a perv. All right, well, so it's a fetish that still grosses me out. But if you have it, then whatever. You're not a bad person. I try to go. I tried to go out of my way in those old porn rant videos to clarify that I wasn't like trying to kink shame anyone. Those fetishes I talked about in those videos are just fetishes that I personally didn't like. But if people like those certain fetishes, then have at it. It's not that they're actually harming anyone. All right, last few messages, and then I'm gonna end this off. The Switch is pretty soulless compared to the GameCube. No, me making music seriously, Nintendo. Well, me is kind of sort of came after the GameCube, but I get what you mean. GameCube definitely has a lot more soul put into it, even if it has a pretty bare bones menu, because all the GameCube's UI is memory card and options like changing the date or changing the audio from stereo to mono. No, I did not grow up with Smash Bros. I never really was that big of a fan of the Smash franchise, but I do want to get Melee eventually. When did the OBA thing happen? Want to watch your video after this? Look up a video by me called Original Blood Ice Really Was Arrested for Child Pornography. That's what it's called. It came out in 2017. Gonna head out now. See y'all. Same. Thank you all for joining the stream. It was a lot of fun. Definitely a lot more fun than last stream, because last stream was really, really dead. And I don't know when I'm going to do another one, probably sometime in October, because I like doing these on a monthly basis. I just felt nice today because I really just wanted to stream and let a lot of frustration out. And I haven't really been doing the best these past few days, or really ever since just the other night after that major flood happened. I've been in a lot of pain, so thank you for distracting me away from that pain for just 2 hours, and hearing me bitch and moan about politics and other shit. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you to all those who were here, who aren't here now. Appreciate it a lot. And especially thank you to those who have been listening to me the whole time. Like I say at the end of every stream, I really don't know how people can bear listening to someone like me ramble on for 2 hours on end. I certainly wouldn't be able to bear that, but there's people out there who do, and I'm more than appreciative of that. And above and beyond thankful. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. See ya.